Welcome back to the Wrestling Related Podcast, where the topics are related to wrestling. The three of us are related to each other. I am Josh.
Dustin.
And Corey.
And you guys are catching us right here for this episode where we are recapping, a huge pay-per-view, AEW All In London 2024. Hey, let's just get straight to it. Thank God Bryan Danielson is not retiring. Okay, I had to get that out of the way first.
Sure.
Before I deliver the bad news for Dustin and I. Corey won the predictions.
Good job. Congratulations.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I would like to call shenanigans because he predicted Toni Storm until I gave my reasoning for Mariah May, and then he changed it.
Valid
True.
point.
Yep.
However, had he not
Valid
listened
point.
to me there, he probably also wouldn't have listened to me with MJF, which means he would have predicted Will Ospreay, and then he would have got it anyway. So I guess he wins.
Well, and can I just say real quick that both Corey and I, great minds think alike. Nigel McGuinness and Ricochet.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And hey,
But neither one won.
No, neither one won. And I thought Moxley was coming back because I thought we were going to get to see a reformation of the Blackpool Combat Club. Little did I know, it appears as in Pac is the new member of the Blackpool Combat Club?
That's what it looks like.
Like, what?
Can I? So let me ask real quick. Both you guys got to watch the pay-per-view?
Yes.
Every bit of it.
Okay. I didn't get to watch it. Had the kids. Right. I totally need to. I get it.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, when they hit the sack and I'm like scrolling and I'm getting all the updates, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta watch. And I watched a recap video that was just like, this happened, and then this happened, and then that happened, and this happened, with just pictures and snippets, which was done pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't remember who did it, otherwise would give them credit. But when the recap, which is just pictures, was like 45 minutes long, I was like, oh, doggy.
Yes.
This is a doozy. So
Yes. It was long. Actually, I don't think I finished it until, well, this is Tuesday we're recording. It was yesterday, Monday morning.
Right.
I finally finished it up because it got so late after church and everything, and then starting to watch it. It's 11 o'clock. I got to get up and I got to drive bus in the morning, and it's just like, So it was like, it was not happening. And then I had to, of course, abstain from all social media for, like 24 hours.
Good luck with that.
Oh, it was a pain. I was fortunate that at least like sometime yesterday, my wife got locked out of her Facebook or wound up being in Facebook jail for the umpteenth time or whatever it is. So she couldn't spoil anything.
It's because of that picture of the brisket. That's what it was. It looked so good.
I think it was.
Oh, let's not talk food.
Yeah, let's not. Let's move on.
But yes,
Moving on.
very good pay-per-view. Hey, right out the gate on the what was it, the buy-in, there was a 16-man, like 8-man tag team match.
Ooh-ha. Yeah. 16
different people standing on 14 on the ring aprons and then 2 in the ring.
And then 2 down below.
I was going to say, were the crowd able to even see in the ring?
Half
Not
of
really.
them, no. But it was...
That's why I like front row balcony. You can look down.
Yeah.
Preach.
And I can't even remember who all was in there. I know Top Flight was in there, and the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, was in there.
Oh,
and you had
the Oompa Loompa and then the Big Boy.
Yes, Leo Rush and
Satnam Singh.
Which that whole spot was hilarious. It was a really good match.
But no outrunners.
No outrunners, I know. Didn't get the outrunners. But it was cool to see Tommy Billington, be there at Wembley. That had to have been really cool for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a great match. I loved the other big match that was
last minute.
Willow.
No, well, it was one of the last minute additions. It was the Von Erichs and Sammy Guevara and Shibata and Dustin Rhodes against Cage of Agony and Undisputed Kingdom.
And good match.
It was so cool to see the Von Erichs out there walking out Wembley, everybody doing the claw. It was just
Kevin Von Erich
being right there, getting to walk
be in the middle of that atmosphere at Wembley.
Yeah.
Wembley is huge.
Wembley Stadium is insane.
And it's a good thing that Kevin came out at the beginning before everything else started. Otherwise, there might have been thumbtacks or glass or whatever else that he was walking across with his bare feet.
It was real glass.
It was real glass. It was real glass. Loved it. Real blankety
Here's
glass.
a real fist.
Hilarious. Maybe that might have been one of my highlights of the night, because I wasn't looking forward to much from Jack Perry, Darby Allin. I think, Corey you and I talked about that last week, where it was just like, I'm wanting more out of Jack Perry. I would like him to just push it a little bit more. He pushed it in a subtle way.
Just a personality.
Yeah, and it was like a little dig, because he comes out and he's got this little like scapegoat bag and he drops it and the glass goes falling, and he has like a smirk on his face looking at the camera, and then he just does the CM Punk pose, and that's it.
But then a little bit later, if you paid close attention, even Darby Allin jumped in there and said, they're real thumbtacks.
Yeah.
He made that comment too.
Funny.
They were both jabbing at him.
It was so good. That was actually, being a casket match, that match, like I don't expect much out of casket matches. Like I can't think of a casket match. I couldn't tell you who's been in a casket match other than I'm sure Undertaker and Kane have been in it, because they are them. And I would guess Mick Foley, just because of Mick Foley's rivalry with Undertaker, but I couldn't even guarantee that. I couldn't swear to that.
All four of those guys.
I would have, if you would have asked me if Yokozuna had been in a casket match, I would have said no, because I don't
he
remember.
was.
Michaels.
Because they had to get the extra large casket for Yokozuna just in case.
The double wide.
That's right.
And
see, I don't remember those.
Injuring his back that took him out of wrestling for so long.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't really remember those. I think it's because it's a weird gimmick match that it's just kind of weird. This was good. Like I mean, it was good. I don't know as I'll ever have a memorable casket match, but hey, a few days later, I actually remembered it, and there were some spots in there that were really cool. So I got a kick out of it.
And here's the thing that I really liked about it was the fact that, the end of that match, here's, spoilers for anybody that's never watched it or didn't watch it. Sucks to be you. So here's the thing.
We've already spoiled a bunch.
Oh yeah. He's got his feet duct taped. Or was it? No, it was his hands duct taped. And then all of a sudden he took the belt and locked the belt around his ankles.
Yeah. Took his own belt off and put it around his ankles to tie him together.
And then put him in a body bag. Then drug the body bag and threw the whole thing in the casket. And Darby sits up and then pops him. He goes back down, shut the casket. It's over with.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they didn't play it up like, okay, he's got this against him. Now he's in a body bag. But his hand comes out. His hand's like stopping it. His fingertips are stopping it from shutting. No. That's not going to happen.
So not only did they not, more spoilers, not only did they not play it up like that, which they could have, and that would have ruined it, but they left him in there so much that the Bucks come down, hand a can of gasoline to Jack Perry that he pours on him, pulls out a lighter, only for one of the biggest pops of the night for Sting's music to hit.
Yeah.
And it's not until Sting comes down and chases him off with bats and hits him that he then goes, lifts it up, and is able to get Darby out. And Darby's still in there. The only thing he had been able to do is like lift his arms up to pull the zipper down just a little bit to breathe. It was like,
it was great.
I saw that Sting made an appearance on X, and it freaked me out. I was like, no, that was a year ago. What the heck? What's going on with my feed? And I was like, wait a minute, that was last night. What's going on?
It happened.
Yep, it was good.
And, you know, I had this conversation, and I think a lot of in the wrestling business will have this conversation. When you get somebody who's retired that comes back, there are people that are always like, well, if they're coming back, they're stealing somebody's spot, or they're taking away TV time or pay-per-view time from somebody else. And, yeah, and here's my take on that is, while, yes, that is true, that he would be taking away that little bit of TV and pay-per-view time away from somebody else. And Sting wouldn't necessarily want to do that and take away from somebody else. However, what every single person there is there for is the 53 or 54,000 people that were there in attendance and the millions that are watching around the world. Like, it's for the fans. And who is going to give the fans more of a pop than to see one of the icon, the one that they grew up watching, to see him come back and make an appearance. Doesn't have to do anything. He's just there. He's in the same arena that I'm in. Or I'm in the living room and he pops out and you get the same chills that you did back in 1994.
Well, not just that, but also the people that claim, well, you're taking somebody's spot. No, you're totally missing it. Sting comes out, and now the fans that maybe have started to drift away a little bit because they were the diehard Sting fans and he hasn't been wrestling for a while, or maybe they're just like, well, you know, I don't know. I like this person, I like that person. I don't know. Or that they just didn't catch the pay-per-view. And now they heard that Sting was on there, and they're like, crap, now I got to go get it. I got to see what happened. What's going on?
Yep.
And now you got more money coming in, which means bigger shows, which means more payouts, which means better shows, more stuff, more.
And the other thing, I want to go back a little bit to the big schmoz matches that we had, where we have like it was like a 10-man tag, I think is what that was, wasn't it? With Von Erichs, Dusty Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, Shibata. Maybe it was 8. I don't remember. I can't count. But you get that many guys in that match. And then you get twice as many in the pre-show match. And we've talked about how AEW has like 14 different matches, you know, per pay-per-view, which is a long time. And at the same time, from a former, you know, indie wrestler, how cool is it that all of those guys, like 30, 40 different people there, they all got an opportunity to walk out in front of that crowd in Wembley Stadium.
So, okay, financially speaking, do you think it was cheaper for Tony Khan to pay for plane tickets for each one of them to fly? Or would it have been cheaper just to turn around and charter a plane and fly everybody in one plane?
Probably still cheaper commercial.
He's probably got his own plane. He probably could.
But they do have their own plane with the Jaguars, so
yeah, there you go.
I'm sure they could probably do that. Yeah, I don't know. And that's the other thing. Like we've talked about, you know, the bloated roster that AEW has, and at the same time, it's like, are they getting TV time? No. But are these people who grew up wanting to be a wrestler? That was their dream, and are they able to live it out and financially be able to say, this is what I make a living on? Sure, you might be relegated to Ring of Honor, which is only on their like pay per month or whatever streaming on their own website. It's like, yeah, you might only get that time, or you might just have a Rampage match once a month, but you're still able to do this at an elite level, and there are tens or hundreds of thousands of professional wrestlers out there in the world that would love to have your spot. And here's Tony Khan saying, you know what? I have enough people in our company that I can put 45 people on one show. I don't know if that's the amount. It's probably more, but it's like I can have
one
all
match,
that.
Apparently.
Right. So that was just something that I thought, when I was thinking about it, it was kind of cool. I was also equally frustrated. I got home from church. I wanted to watch this. We had to be in Des Moines at like 4:30. I thought I have just enough time to get through this pay-per-view. But I'm thinking WWE pay-per-view, where I can fast forward through some of it. And I go into the very first match, and it was the trios ladder match. And I'm watching the trios ladder match, and I'm like, all right, now I get a fast forward, and I hit the button once, and here's now Britt Baker coming down for like the next, and I was like, I can't fast forward through anything. And I was like, oh, I don't get a skip. And it was like, and then I look at it, and it says 4 hours. And I was like, there's just no way at this point it's a 4-hour pay-per-view. And Genevieve's like, why are we leaving so early? And I was like, well, because this is an AEW pay-per-view.
I can't watch it.
And the flip side is WWE has the PLE. They're not getting the pay-per-view dollars coming in.
Right.
So they're just getting off their
paid.
subscription. So it's already kind of paid for. But what happens on the PLEs? You have to sit through commercial breaks. And you have to sit through vignette after vignette after vignette. And that's why they only get 5 matches. And it's like,
I don't mind that as much because, as we very well know, I go through a lot of iced tea.
potty breaks.
So I need potty breaks.
Just call him Uncle Si.
Yeah.
I'm getting one of them cups.
So
that's it.
So is it possible, guys? I know there was a lot of matches. And it was a long pay-per-view. Can we skim through and just say a little something about
each one?
A lot of the matches?
Sure.
A lot, maybe. So we've already talked about the Dustin Rhodes match a little bit. We talked about the
Ishii, Statlander, Nightingale, and Stokely, or vice versa.
Very predictable. Yeah, 0 hour. That was Stokely actually impressed me a little bit. He didn't just, Okay, he didn't impress me. Never mind.
It was exactly what I expected. I expected it to be a 0 hour filler match. I actually preferred the little segment of Saraya coming out more than that match.
Agreed.
Because the Saraya program, Jamie Hayter's back.
So, here's the deal. You were talking about not being able to fast forward and skip ahead and everything like that. And I don't know what you were watching it on. I was watching it on a Fire Stick, going through that. And I turned around and I could skip ahead a little bit, but I couldn't. I had to be selective on what buttons I hit. And I could select jump ahead a little bit. And I jump ahead and I see the back of Jamie Hayter. And all I see is this robe and the red hair. And I'm like, whoa, back up. And I backed up.
I went too fast.
That ain't Becky Lynch. Now, come on now. That ain't happening. And then I rewatched it. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with Jamie Hayter too. So
yeah, yep. That was a pretty cool thing. Jericho hook, predictable. Taz getting involved, predictable.
I love Jericho, but can I just say, he needs to really stop bringing certain things out to the ring. That one time he brought out hockey pucks, and then he took a bump on it, and I'm like, don't bump on a hockey puck. That an owie.
No.
This time he brings out
cricket balls.
Cricket balls. And I'm like,
and a cricket bat.
No. And Hook can't hit worth that crap. Hook's like just creaming Big Bill with that cricket bat, and I'm like, ow, I would
swinging for the fences with that thing. Caught him right in the shoulders.
Big Bill kind of turned a glance.
He was like,
"Did you start Hey, Dust.
Yeah.
Did you start having flashbacks of Mortimer Plumtree?"
Oh, I forgot all about Mortimer.
Right? I forgot all about that. I was thinking Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Mortimer Plumtree. I miss that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yes. No, that was predictable. I think the thing that wasn't predictable was the UK crowd chanting "We love Big Bill." It was like
what?
In the middle of the match, like "We love Big Bill," and they just kept going. Right. And then he stands up and he looks around, then he flips them all off.
Oh,
maybe they were confused. Maybe they thought it was Big Ben and they just said Big Bill.
Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe. It was hilarious.
Yeah. What else you got?
Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker.
Okay. Best match I've seen Mercedes in since being in AEW.
Correct.
All I've got to say is thank you, Britt Baker. Because it wasn't Mercedes that carried that match at all. She was still sloppy.
Yeah, well, there were some sloppy moments on both of them, to be fair. There were a couple things that Britt did that were not the hottest. Here comes down to, like, any type of presentation you put out.
Okay.
The things that matter the most are your beginning and your ending.
Mm-hmm.
The middle is often forgettable. Yes, you get some spots in a wrestling match here and there, but the way you start and the way you finish are the standout moments. The way they started that match and the way they finished that match still leave me wanting. They tried to start to do some chain wrestling, and it's like, come on, let's get to it. And it was slow. Because I think in AEW, we're so used to the technical chain wrestling. And I think actually before that match was even the Casino Gauntlet match, which we'll come back to. But when you've got like Nigel McGuinness and Zack Sabre Jr. going back and forth, and then you've got like a Britt Baker and a Mercedes Moné doing it, it's like,
don't.
Somebody should have been in the back and said, hey, just don't. Do yourself a favor and don't. Instead, Mercedes, here's what you do. You get ready for a tie-up, and as she gets ready to tie up, you back up, and then you just slap her across the face and run, and then just like do something like that. Start hot and heavy. Don't do the chain. And then they finished it with the stupid moneymaker thing that I absolutely hate.
I hate that move.
I hate that move. Don't do it, but they keep doing it. Somebody please tell her. Stop doing the move. It doesn't look good. You're smaller than every other woman in that division. Wait until Julia Hart comes back, and then you can do it on her. That's about the only one. I think that's actually the only one that's taken it that actually looked good. So
I did like.
Yeah, I think that's
she did
because it was those two, and that's how she won. Or no, it was when there was the Julia and Willow match, I believe, but Mercedes came out in that. And then, like, walked down to the ring or something. This is the one where Julia actually beat Willow. Or, like, the second time she did.
Yeah,
before I started watching.
Probably. Yeah, because they had the table thing in the middle at first, where they were both out, and then, Julia did something to Willow. I will say, I did like the Britt Baker, kudos to Eddie Guerrero and Camille, that whole spot of, here, catch, and I'm going to bump. They played that great. And Camille, good job.
Yep.
Camille's like, no, I didn't hit it.
I didn't hit her with the belt.
But that's when it should have, in my opinion, the match should have went and ended like seconds after that.
Right.
Instead of,
it drug on
let's
a
keep
little bit
going
more.
For a few more minutes. Yeah.
They had like all of the elements in there for a really good match. And even their chain wrestling, had their chain wrestling been on very first match of the night, would have been fine. If all you had going on before you as far as wrestling was the mixed tag match and that 16-man whatever it was, if those were the only two, then you do your chain wrestling, it's fine because you can build with it after that. But because it wasn't bad chain wrestling, it was just slow in comparison, and that's what made it look off to me. But yeah, they had all of the elements right. It just seemed like they were repositioned in a weird thing, and she just needs a different finisher. Other than that, it was a good match. So I kind of enjoyed it.
So
best one she's been out.
Yeah,
I'll try to check it out, but I'll try to watch that before the Gauntlet match.
Correct.
And see if I feel the same way.
Yeah. Speaking of Gauntlet.
Gauntlet.
Great lineup for
Nigel.
it. Great lineup for it. Ricochet.
Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness. And hey, Nigel's looking good.
Not bad.
He's looking good. He can work good. Did he say
he's been in the ring working out since last November?
Yeah, it was like 18 months or something like that. He's been putting in the work.
That's right. That's what it was.
Like, yeah, and it shows.
Get it.
Yeah. And I don't know who has a better European uppercut than Nigel McGuinness. I still think he has The best.
Claudio?
They're not saying that others aren't good, because there's some really good ones out there. But Nigel's is just good.
You go back and watch Nigel at Ring of Honor, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everybody else, take your chops, take your woos, take every other punch out of the mix, and his Europeans are the equivalent of Bobby Eaton's left hand. And it's just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, "Oh, what was that?"
Good." Well, and the worst part about it is his European was one I studied because I tried to do it, and I still could never figure out how he threw that European. Didn't matter how many times I tried to frame advance and slow-mo it, couldn't do it. I could imitate a lot of different guys doing different things. Could not get that one.
One of them.
I couldn't do it. It was impossible. It's just, and his is still so good.
So I will say his very first, when he first came out and he does a little bit of the wrestling, his first teeter-totter, you could tell, okay, little rough. Yep. His second teeter-totter, on point.
On point.
He did. I'm like, there.
And I don't remember whose head he took off, but it was good.
Oh, he could look better than the Rainmakers. Clotheslines.
Yes.
So
that was just an all-around really good match.
Yes.
Fun to watch.
Who actually won it? Because I don't even remember now.
That would be Christian Cage.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, speaking of Christian Cage.
Oh, my goodness.
We haven't even talked about Ricochet's entrance.
All right, we'll come back to Christian Cage.
Oh, yeah.
Ricochet.
Good performance for his first time in AEW.
Great performance.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was having so much fun out there. Like, I
Could
get to do whatever
smiling.
I want to do. I'm going to spring up here. Whoops. These are not rope. These are steel cables. Okay, let's go. It was just like, it wasn't a botch. It was like feet got on there and it was just like that little wiggle. And he's like, adjust and then go.
Right. And his drop kick right when he first came in, that drop kick was right square in the mush.
Yeah.
So perfectly done. And he was talking about quick and versus slow. He is so flippin' quick, and he executes perfection when he did everything. I mean, there was nothing. He did the 619 in a corner.
Yep.
Perfect. I mean, I'm a huge Ricochet fan. I liked him when he was Prince Puma. So, that's just me.
And that little wobble he had was when he got ready to do the shooting star press to the outside. So it's like, I mean, I'm okay with you like holding yourself for just a second before you get ready to, invert. He looked so good. Looked like he was having so much fun. And with the rest of those guys, the way that he was selling for them, the way that they were selling for him, it made everybody look good. And that might be the first time that I have ever looked at Ricochet and thought, he could be a main eventer. He could be a heavyweight champion. Like, I mean, I liked Ricochet, and I think he's great. I think he's one of the most underrated that's out there. But I hadn't seen him in that light. And maybe it's just the way he was booked and the way he's been used that didn't show that off. But now it's like, okay, I can see it.
Do you think any of that also plays in the fact of coming from the Landed Giants and then working in a 18 by 18? And then
quite possibly could.
Looks a little bit bigger, and then you're like, oh, that's a piece of the puzzle. That's it.
Quite possibly could do that. And maybe some of it was just, it looked like every punch, every kick that he was throwing had a little bit extra heat on it. And that's the other thing. Like,
maybe it did.
And maybe it did. But in AEW, most of the guys, they're cool with a little extra heat.
Right.
They're all right with, all right, go ahead and lay it in.
Except the Rainmaker. Since he came on board, I've been like,
Okada's,
So
some of his
because
a
you
little,
watch his Japanese stuff, and he He's like taking people's heads off, and oh, there's your face. Might want to pick that up. You might need it later.
Yep.
No, this stuff, it's like, eh.
Yeah. No, Christian Cage. I forgot all about Christian Cage doing it, and I'm kind of upset at myself that I forgot, because the biggest disappointment that I had was the fact that he lost in that trios ladder. Only because of the argument that I made last week, where I believe that he's the best heel in the business right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's just getting heat after heat after heat, and everybody hates him, and everybody's going against him. And you can take somebody who's a babyface like Luchasaurus and put him with Christian Cage, and Luchasaurus is instantly a heel. Whereas you try to do that with other heels that are out there, put a face with them, no, they're still a face.
Right.
This one, it just didn't work. So I was just disappointed because I wanted him to be a heel and then just steal things away. But then the fact that he does win the gauntlet, and it's like, oh, you stole a win away, literally, from how many different people.
Speaking of Luchasaurus, though, the intro that was actually the Luchasaurus music for, was he now Kill Switch or whatever?
Correct.
He's coming out, and because of how he's treated him with the trios titles and Mama Wayne, I mean,
yep.
Did he have everybody like sucked in that this is when it's going down?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. In the moment, it was like, uh-oh, here it's going. And it was like, here, now we know the next program for Christian Cage. It's going to be Christian Cage versus Luchasaurus. And then all of a sudden, double swerve.
Yep. Now, I will say I agree. The biggest disappointment was in that tag team ladder match. But it wasn't the fact that Christian Cage lost. It was the fact that Tony Khan missed an opportunity for a great return and pop from the crowd when you have Mama Wayne starting up the ladder to turn around and grab the titles, and there was no Julia Hart coming out for the House of Black. That would have been a great opportunity for Julia to, the lights come out right at that point, and all of a sudden when they come back on, Julia's standing on the other side of the ladder looking at her.
Yep.
That would have been a huge, huge pop. But
it would have, yes, it definitely would have been.
I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now.
Like, but how is it possible? There were only 4 teams in there. We each picked somebody different, and we all got it wrong.
We all lost.
Because they didn't announce the 4th team until...
They didn't announce it, but once we found out the 4th team, I sent the message, and I was like, here's the 4th team. Does this change it for anybody? We can... And it was like, nope. No, we're like, nah, it doesn't affect my predictions at all.
I'm sitting there looking at the results, and I'm like, okay, I got that one. I didn't get this one. I didn't get that one. I got this one. Who got that one?
Nobody.
And I was just like, oh, I don't think anybody got it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a wash. Moving on.
Pat got that one. That's who got it.
Yeah,
Pat got that one. And that's got to be cool for him.
Claudio. Have you seen the last week of Claudio?
Looking good.
I love Claudio.
In the last week, he not only won those trio belts, he won what was it? Some big title, G1 or something like that, and a trophy or something down in Mexico, all within 1 week. He won all this stuff. And the match he had this last week, who was it against? Drive me nuts. He was in some match against somebody, and I was like, "Oh, this ought to be good." No.
Oh, Leo Rush.
No, not that one. That was the week before.
That was the week before.
Yeah, that was the week before.
No.
Somebody else.
I really can't remember.
I can't either, and I really wish I did because I wish I wrote it
it's
down
overshadowed.
like I was planning to. But it was just all I remember is that he was fighting him, and it was Rainmaker. That was the first match I've seen from Okada that was like, I was like, oh,
it was good.
Yeah, this is a good match. This is a good match. And then watching Claudio go, and I was like, dang, this guy's like totally underrated.
Yep.
So,
Bucks
next
FTR
match.
Acclaimed.
I'm not disappointed. Even though I picked FTR, I'm not disappointed. As long as the Acclaim didn't get it, I'm a happy man.
The only disappointment that I had is that I just figured they were going to do the Acclaimed and turn them heel, which I would have enjoyed them turning heel. But if they turn them heel and they don't get the belts, well, that's just icing on the cake for me. So I was happy to lose that one too.
I just figured the Bucks were ego maniacs enough that they would want to hang on to belts.
Yep, that they are. MJF, Will Ospreay.
What a good match.
Whoa.
Again.
Yes.
All right, I'll jump in first. The thing that had me most confused was not the American title as much as it was the big thing was the American title. You designed a whole belt.
Correct.
And he designed all new American gear. Forget his little Walmart special suit and the banner behind with his face screen printed on there.
Yeah.
But you have boots made. How long have you been planning this? And because I know that takes a while. I know the belt takes a little while.
Yep.
And you've been doing this, and it lasted less than a month.
What? But hey, was that one good month or what?
It was money. I loved it, but
I didn't.
Whoa!
I obviously didn't see it coming. I lost out on that prediction. Dustin got it right. But it was a good match. It was good. And
no, kangaroo kick.
No, the
Tiger Driver.
Tiger Driver.
Whatever it is.
MJF just ate it.
Mm-hmm.
Like all up on the top of his dome. Right in the bald spot.
And his trunks up his butt crack.
Yeah, it was like, trunks were always up the butt crack.
All the way up there.
But it was really good.
He was
match.
like Al Pacino from Heat. It's way up there.
Way up there. I haven't even checked to see how many stars he got from the Meltzer ratings. I don't know which one's going to get. There are 3 matches that could have taken the top match of the night, and they were that match, the main event, and then Toni Storm Mariah May was so good.
We're not going to talk about star ratings because I'm sure Dave Meltzer's still sitting somewhere having a cigarette.
It was so good.
So
Toni Storm and Mariah May.
It was so good.
Okay,
I loved it.
Here's my thing. I love Toni Storm. I think Mariah May is a great talent. My issue is Mariah May can't get an act of her own. Even all the way up to the media scrum where she turns around and does the exact same thing Toni Storm does.
I don't disagree.
Is that annoying to you? Is that annoying to you?
She's getting heat with you.
It's not annoying to the point that I would pay to see her lose. It's annoying to the point that it's like a child not doing her chores. It just or his chores. It's just
not touching, can't get mad.
Just go away. Just go away.
But I think this was something else I brought up, the point that nothing really sells like the baby chasing after a title.
Right.
And now that you get Toni Storm, Toni's just held it. She's dominated it, which I was so thankful because after like an interim type of a deal, and it's like, no, here's a legit option.
Yeah, that was garbage.
I like that, but she's just been dominant, and it's like, well, who's going to beat her? This was at least a storyline that, okay, I can kind of see, where they're going. So,
well, and we built up drama for this match, and if Toni wins, then you said it yourself last week. If Toni wins, then there's a blow off.
Right.
Now, then who's next? And then who's next?
Yep.
But if Mariah wins, then we got another 6 months of this.
We could.
Right. And can I just say, no offense, but the mamas over in that region of the world are a bunch of pansies, because if I would have slapped my mama, I would still be on the ground.
Right.
To this day, I would be counting the teeth that came out of my mouth as I picked him up. It's just like, don't slap your mama. Yeah. Don't slap your mama. Don't do that.
Bryan Danielson, Swerve Strickland, main event, and new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, in Wembley Stadium in front of 50+ thousand with Bree, Birdie, and Buddy right there at ringside.
Can I say I had mixed feelings about the way that match went? And here's what I mean by that. There was a lot of, as Bryan Danielson said in the media scrum with Birdie sitting on his lap, when there was a whole lot of ketchup being used,
yeah,
in front of your kids that are that young, part of me was like, ooh, that can be very, very traumatic to even though, yes, predetermined, whatever you want to say about it, it's still a show. It's still real ketchup.
Yeah.
It's still the Heinz. But the part in the match, and Josh, you know what I'm talking about. Corey, when you watch it, you better have some tissues. He's standing there looking at his family, and Swerve kicks him in the chest when he's down on the knee. Then he kicks him again, and Danielson doesn't even flinch, doesn't move. Kicks him again, he comes up to 1 foot. Kicks him again, he's standing full up. Kicks him another time, his body doesn't even move, and he's kicking him. And Danielson just looks at his family and
Swerve with no kick pads on kicking him.
None.
Straight shin.
And Danielson looks at his family and goes, I love you. And at that point, I'm just like, oh. Tito, get me some tissues.
No, I don't know if that was the one that got me, or when he has been beaten down, laying there, and he's starting to try to crawl, and he can't even move, and he looks right over at them, and he looks and he says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah,
and it's just like,
hit you in the feels.
Like,
hit you in the feels.
Do not tell me that AEW cannot have storytelling. Like, it doesn't happen as much, but that was some of the best in-ring storytelling that I have ever seen.
So good.
The match was phenomenal. Like, let me
poke my head in here and talk about an idea. So Christian Cage just won the gauntlet, which means he gets a title match. Bryan Danielson is the new champion. So for the foreseeable future, we have Christian Cage being very heelish on Bryan Danielson, and all the build up to this and going forward, and all the drama. Is he retiring? Is he not? Is he holding the belt? Is he not? And
And Cage doesn't pull punches.
But not only that, not only Cage playing up the father card, you've got Nigel McGuinness that's been doing it as well.
Sure. My point was just going to be that if we're talking about AEW doing some drama, they're leaning into it.
Yeah.
They're leaning into the storyline at this point. And at that point, the fans, they're just making money. I mean, they're...
Yep.
Here. Go.
It's looking good.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Great pay-per-view all around. So much fun.
So one last question I have for you guys.
Yeah.
Actually, it's more Josh, because Corey's still got to watch it yet. Josh, which was better? This year's Wembley or last year's Wembley?
Based on the main event, I say it's the way you begin, it's the way you end.
Mm-hmm.
The way that this one ended with that match, and maybe it was me having to wait 24 hours to get the result, not even being able to look at my phone, and the emotional roller coaster through that match, as it's this year's. This year's got me. There were moments I loved of last year, but even at that, I can't think of any moment last year that was better for me than to see Bryan Danielson, one of the most humble wrestlers that has ever laced up the boots, standing in that ring, holding up a World Heavyweight Championship belt with his kids. Like, for them to get to see that. And you know he's on his way out, and he's given everything to this business, and he's injured. And for all of it to come through, it was just, that moment right there sealed it. This one's better for me.
Yeah, I'll say this was better because I haven't seen anything about the last one, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, there you go.
So you got to watch last year's first and then watch this year's.
Yep. And the only other couple things I want to throw in here as we wrap this up, as we get ready to move on, All In will not be in Wembley next year. It will be back in Wembley in 2026. However, next year, their June pay-per-view and their August pay-per-view are switching spots and countries because All In is going to Texas in June, and Forbidden Door is going to the UK and to London in August. So that'll be interesting.
June or July?
Yes.
That one's in August. June is...
July. It is June?
July.
I thought it was July.
Maybe it was
for
July.
All In Texas.
It's in the summer. There we go.
All In Texas, Saturday.
July.
Oh, yeah, because it's normally June 30th, I think this year was when Forbidden Door was. So, anywho, that wraps us up for this time. In the next episode, you'll probably catch us making some predictions for WWE Bash in Berlin, and maybe on the next time we talk about AEW, we will have to have our way too early predictions for All In Texas.
Nope.
All right. That's all we got for you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.